Hey there, nerds. Jimmy Palmquist here, and I want to talk Ted Lasso. My favorite fake EPL team, AFC Richmond, just had a friendly against Ajax. So, episode 6, season 3, Sunflowers. We're at the halfway point, and I feel like not that any of the previous installments were not great this season, but I feel like this episode got us back to the heart of Ted Lasso. We have had some ups and downs. We've had Zava join the team, which is a great representation of getting that Uber all star who has the talent, but not really the team aspect. And it's the irony, and they pointed out, is Jamie Tart is the one who really is not sure if Zava is a good fit and really wants to continue with the team chemistry that has been created since last season. But back to the heart of Ted Lasso, we basically see a lot of the principals split up and go their own ways to accomplish a variety of things. We see a Rebecca go and take on the city, so to speak, and really um, finds more of the prophecy that potentially could come. So I'm excited to see where her journey goes. I thought, and Higgins constantly referring to, I'm going to the red light district. I'm going to the red light district. And yes, in fact, he did go to the red light district, but not for the reasons we were led to believe or that we would assume. Probably one of my favorite storylines from this episode is Roy and Jamie Tart. Obviously, they have a love hate relationship. Last season's episode, where Jamie's dad was just being a dick and coming into the locker room, and Roy comes up and gives Jamie a huge hug. It was like, oh my God, these two kill me. Such heart. And from what I've read, like behind the scenes stuff, those two get along great and have a great time. And it's actually hard to film them because they have so much fun laughing and giggling at each other that they don't always get things done in one take, which I just love that story. Then, of course, we come to Jason Sudeikis, the coach, Ted Lasso, and his downward spiral, both personal and professional. And I love that he goes to an American style restaurant in Amsterdam. Why? Because I've seen these restaurants firsthand and they are hilarious. The idea of what Europeans think of Americans is such an exaggeration of what we really are or what we were. So it's funny to see it represented on the big screen and having Coach Lasso have this inspiration. Whether it was influenced or not, we don't know. But Coach Beard gives that away later. But to use the triangle offense and take his knowledge of other sports, which are more American, and bring it to what he's learning with soccer. I thought was a fantastic storyline. And then the reveal, as Coach Beard said, "Did you come up with this on your own?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Great, you invented Total Soccer." He's like, "That's a great name." And if you've played any kind of soccer above just the recreational kid level, you understand that Total Soccer is a huge concept that came out of the 60s and 70s of the sport of football. I believe Johan Cruyff in Amsterdam. So it was touching how that's where they were. He has this realization. That's what they're going to try, obviously. And then, sort of in the background, we have this great storyline with Trent and Colin. And Colin obviously is gay. And we know that. Trent knows that. Colin doesn't know Trent knows that. But Colin wants to explore the city and sort of experience more of that side of his lifestyle. And when Trent approaches him in a gay bar, Colin plays it off like, "Oh no, I must be in the wrong place," and quickly leaves. And Trent comes out to Colin, and it's very touching. But all those storylines, everything was great. But my favorite was still the team, as we have a discussion of what to do because Ted gave them a zero curfew night. They can do whatever they want, and they spend most of the night arguing about what to do. Once they figure out what to do, they then have an argument on where to eat and what food to eat. And there's great interaction. One of my favorites is Richard constantly saying, "Well, I think we should get on a bus and go to France because Holland is the worst." It's just little things like that crack me up. Danny and his want to see a tulip, not a field of tulips like most people associate with Holland, but a tulip. And when he's like, "Oh, but Danny, you wrote your answer in Spanish." Somebody wrote their answer in Spanish. Just little dialogue like that is great. And the fact at the end of the night we end up with a pillow fight, which harkens back to earlier episodes when Ted gives them the option of, do you guys want movie night or pillow fight? I guarantee once you pick pillow fight, you'll never go back. And it finally happened. These men who play a professional sport just act like kids and have a blast and come together as a team. And then we see him on the bus. We see Rebecca come on the bus. Ted's on the bus. Coach Beard comes in as Piggy Stardust. And Rebecca just puts her feet up and starts singing, everything's going to be all right. And it's like, this is it. This is the turning point. This is fantastic. This is why we watch Ted Lasso. This is the heart of Ted Lasso. I can't wait to see where they go. If you are not watching Ted Lasso, you need to check it out. It is such a well-written show. As a side note, I would like to add that I really love this episode because it took place in Amsterdam. And in the Wayback Machine, 1989 or so, I actually got to tour Holland and play soccer on a group of select players from the United States. And one of the games we played was at Ajax Stadium. We played against their youth team. I was 13. My highlight was a breakaway that was unfortunately saved by the goalkeeper, as I didn't quite get under the ball enough to chip it. But it was a fantastic experience. I got to see Ajax play Bayern Munich in the stadium that night. And some of the stories that they talk about, like Van Damme talking about going to see a sex show. I didn't do it that time, but when I revisited Amsterdam much later, about 10 years later, I did go to a sex show. And oh my goodness, it is exactly as they described, just tired people performing on stage, and it is not sexy at all. But it was very cool to see these things. And ironically, I got to see Brendan Hunt perform improv at a show called Boom Chicago that was in Amsterdam way back in 1999. And at the time, I had no idea who he was, what he was, anything like that. But as he came on the show and became more popular, I'm like, God, that guy looks familiar. And I looked it up and saw that he was one of the performers in that show, and it was just phenomenal. And it was just, wow, what a coincidence. How cool is that? And then to see them go back to Amsterdam to film, I thought that was very cool. So I really, again, love the show. Highly recommend you watch it. And if you have the chance to someday visit Amsterdam, it's one of my favorite cities in the world, go check it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Ted Lasso.